Hello, resistance. Brett Kavanaugh is disqualified. This is about hijacking our democracy. Let's be clear about this. I am angry. I own it. Stay focused. Stay focused.
He was angry, he's partisan. I feel that he's unfit to serve. And I also am concerned about alcoholism.
He's a despicable human being, and he's a liar, and he thinks he's entitled to this position.
You heard that right. A group led by Linda Sarsour is concerned that Brett Kavanaugh doesn't have the right temperament. Our producer Alex Pfeiffer and a camera crew went down to D.C. today, braved all that to bring those pictures to you. That was a mob pressuring senators to unquestioningly believe the allegations against Judge Kavanaugh. Meanwhile, the author of the Vagina Monologues, which you haven't seen, probably shouldn't, lashing out at women of a certain skin color who support Brett Kavanaugh for some reason. In an open letter published by Time magazine, Eve Ensler suggests that white women who back Kavanaugh are deliberately supporting violent, abusive behavior. Quote, I don't think you want to apologize to your daughters 40 years from now. Stop the ascension of a man who is angry, aggressive, and vengeful and could very well be a sexual assaulter. Time is short. Call your senators. Stop laughing and start fighting. Tammy Bruce is a radio show host, president of Independent Women's Voice. She's been watching all of this very carefully. She joins us tonight. Tammy, what's your assessment?
Look, we're seeing something I think that's actually been pretty predictable. Hillary said at one point that women voted for Trump because their husbands told them to. Do you remember that big controversy? Well. Because she was relying on the women's vote to elect her as president. And the majority of white women, as the polls tend to categorize people, voted for Donald Trump. So in her explanation was it's because those particular women clearly are zombies, right? They have no mind of their own. And maybe they're the Walking Dead. I don't know. But they certainly don't have personal agency. That was her message. And I contend with all of this, and I know you've been covering the issue about why has race been interjected into this. I contend this, that in fact now the Democrats have decided that they've got to figure out a way to divide even the households, to make women think that the men in their lives are the enemy. And so whether it is your husband or your son or your brother or your dad, that in fact men, white men in particular, because the white women's vote was the issue, are people you cannot trust. Now, of course, that's...
Like I say, that's a high cost. Convincing people their loved ones are their enemies? I mean,
and of course it will fail. I mean, this is clearly a deluded framework. They will not be successful, but it tells you the nature of who we're dealing with here. And it's also desperation. So it explains both of those approaches. And I think that what we're also seeing, of course, with the polls now, that the enthusiasm, of course, is soaring amongst the GOP. I believe with Republican women, it's gone up, I think, like 14 points. It's been a remarkable surge amongst people who thought everything was going to be OK. But this has been a reminder about what the left really is about and what the Democrats have become. And frankly, look, when it comes to women who've been sexually assaulted, women either have had an experience or know someone who has. We all understand that. And this kind of patronizing, like from Eve Ensler, telling women about what they should do. We know what our lives have been. We know what we require. And we require a justice system that is fair. And we require due process. We do want to be taken seriously. But the only way we will be taken seriously is if the system can be trusted. And how dare they lecture every other woman, whether you be a liberal or not. And let me tell you also, it's you with the polls with the liberals, liberal women, just like during the presidential race, there is such anger and rage on the left. It is not safe to be honest about what you think of this situation.
Yes.
And so when we see the enthusiasm going up for the Republicans, and you see kind of a static framework for the Democrats, I contend that the midterms, women on both sides of the aisle, liberal or conservative, we know that the majority, 75 to 80% of Americans did not like what Dianne Feinstein did. They consider it a national disgrace, and they're going to vent that anger in the midterms, both liberal and conservative women, because this issue is nonpartisan, and they're going to find out what that means in November.
It certainly shouldn't be partisan.
Tammy,
thank you. You always take it a level beneath what's obvious, and I appreciate that.
Appreciate the opportunity.